This meeting and all other meetings of this council are open to public. Proper notice has been posted, given to the press in accordance with Wisconsin statutes, so the citizenry may be aware time, place, and agenda of the meeting. Roll call.
Appleby?
Here.
Brunner?
Here.
Gunderson is excused tonight. Kempf?
Here.
And Najowski is excused tonight. And then Rasmussen.
Here.
We have 4 out of 6.
We have pledge allegiance led by Scott, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Approve the minutes of the regular meeting from July 20th and the special council meeting from August 11th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the regular common council meeting on July 20th, 2015, and the special common council on August 11th, 2015.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded to approve council meetings, minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Frank, you're up.
Thank you very much. On the bright side, at least in my opinion, this last month we loaned out 2,481 items, books, tapes, what have you, and we borrowed 699, which puts us in the plus category. And for a small library, I think that is just a super figure as far as I'm concerned. And on a pleasant note for you, wasn't so pleasant for us, our librarian got locked out of the library last week. The back door did not want to open up, so I'm going to extend a big thank you to you, the city council, because the door that used to be on your back end is now the lock that's on our door over here. The closure that's on there will be coming off tomorrow, and we'll save that for when we need a closure, because hopefully it will fit here. And we do thank you very, very much, both for the assistance from the police department and everybody else to get us in. I think the tumblers were just absolutely shot. They worked on it, and just, it finally did click, but we can't have that happen, so we changed it. And people from Weyauwega at the hardware store were able to come in here and install it, and it's a good system. And our librarian and Patrick are working out who has what keys and what access to the back door now, so that we have that straightened out. We'll also be working with the fire department to make sure that we're all set there.
I was wondering what was going on when we walked in here and I see the door laid out there, and the old push button code
Yeah.
door.
So it went to very, very good use. It's super. Any questions on your part? If
No,
not, again,
just-
thank you very much.
Just walking in here, I thought that air conditioner was making kind of a funny noise out there. Is that?
We had our meeting less than an hour ago, and I said, I hope that all our finances are straight, because that's the next thing that we'll be working on. We took care of the furnaces. The air conditioners have been a source of concern for probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years. It made a strange noise. We pulled a guy in to look at it, and he said, well, I've sort of fixed it, but it could go at any time, and if it goes, it's gonna go. So I have 2 people on call. If I need them, they can be here within 24 hours and install a system, so.
I'm not much of an expert on that, but I said that to him. I said,
Yeah.
what's making that funny noise?
First question I asked tonight was, during all this hot weather, did it give us any trouble? Because I figured if it was gonna go, this was the time to go, so, so far so good. But yeah, it's on that last leg.
Okay,
Anything else?
thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Number 6. Scott, I guess if you got it.
All right, thank you. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I make a motion to recommend approval of C-15 pay request number 1 for $119,753.20 to Immel Construction.
I will second that.
Motion made and seconded to pay C-15 for Immel Construction at $119,753.20. Any questions?
Just the first payment request on the City Hall project.
Any questions? Roll call? You need a roll call?
You don't need
No.
one, but you can take one
No, I don't.
whenever you feel it's
All in
appropriate.
favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried, thank you.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I make a motion to approve checks 31586 through 31678 totaling $328,024.13 in the monthly financial statements.
I will also second that.
Motion made and seconded to pay the bills. Any questions? That's you on a roll call. Roll call.
Kemp,
Aye.
Appleby,
Aye.
Rasmussen,
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Motion carried with 4 ayes.
Thank you. Public Works. Bruce.
First, I'd like to recommend approval of pay request number 2 for Myron for $241,673.56.
I'll make the motion to approve pay request number 2 to Myra Construction for $241,673.56. That is for the sewage treatment plant expansion.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Say
Aye.
I was gonna say any questions, but
Any
okay.
questions?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried, thank you.
Number 2, recommend approval of Resolution 570, Compliance Maintenance Annual Report, wastewater 2014.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 570, the compliance maintenance annual report for wastewater for the year 2014.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Just as a comment, if any of you did take a look at that thing, we've got, pretty much got straight A on it, except one section we got a D, and that obviously is because Agripeer is up in the output faster than we can have the intake. It's not our fault, but it does appear on the record, so,
And we're addressing it through the treatment plant.
yeah.
Yes.
It's gonna be taken care of, so. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried, thank you.
I'd also like to recommend approval to continue John Deere 6125R lease for 2016.
I'll make a motion to approve the continuance of the lease of the John Deere 61225R for the year 2016.
I'll second that. Oh,
One motion made and seconded. Any questions? It's a pretty good deal for us, actually. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried, thank you.
Line 4, recommendation on community park brush stump clearing.
Public Works Committee tonight made a recommendation to approve the quote for $3,100 from Lind Excavating for brush and stump removal along Emerald Street in the park. That's one half of the rest of the quotes we'll get for next month will be final excavation and gravel in the area. But the committee was recommend for $3,100 quote from Lind.
Was that the only quote we got?
No, we did get a quote from Fox Brothers too.
I didn't see that in the,
No, it was just
It was
verbal.
considerably higher, well, verbal originally, but their original code had all the removing dirt and, grading and some gravel too, and actually we wanna go get it cleared, see what it looks like first, and then the big question was if it's all sand, or if it's a lot of rock, or if it's clay. And it's gonna be a big difference in how it gets graded and, the landscaping so that the water runs off the way it's supposed to, and I guess we just kinda like to get it cleared first, get a look at it.
But for this part, it would have been about $1,000 more than Lynn.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, Fox's was higher to begin with, yeah,
For just removing?
yeah,
just for the same as what we're approving right now.
yeah.
Yeah, they're removing it all in a
Because
way.
I didn't see it in, I looked in the Public Works
It was a-
minutes, and it wasn't in there, and I think both bids should be in there so that we know that they are in there.
It's verbal. They didn't give us anything in writing from Fox.
And then they didn't have a bid, as far as
Okay.
I'm concerned. We have to have it in writing.
Okay, where we said we got a motion?
No.
No,
I guess the motion would be to approve Brad Lynn for clearing the brush and stumps off that property.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to approve Lynn Excavating for clearing the stump and the brush off of the area on Emerald Street by the park. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you.
And finally, I'd like to, recommendation on posting supervisory position in Public Works Utility.
Yeah, and the Public Works Committee recommended approving the 2 job advertisements. One is for a community operations supervisor position, the other one is for a Public Works utility worker. So just on the advertisements themselves, the job description on the supervisor will be approved within a week. We have a special council meeting that's gonna be called on the railroad. But for now, it's just those 2 advertisements. We'll post them tomorrow if it's approved. They'll both be open to accept applications through September 18th.
I'll make a motion to recommend posting the supervisory position in Public Works and Utilities. And also the worker in Public Works and Utilities. Is that phrased properly?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess so.
And then in red on the bottom, it says where we'll advertise.
You're saying 3 people or 2 people?
Two people. One's a supervisor, one's a worker.
Okay.
So the idea on that is supervisor is the main focus. If we hire an internal candidate for that, which we don't know either way, we would need to hire somebody as a worker. And then we would have that list right there, ready to go. If we hire somebody for the supervisor position externally, we've talked at committee about starting with the 2016 budget, potentially adding a full-time employee, which would start in January. That way we've got 2 candidates selected. And this process will go through October. So realistically, we're looking at late October, early November on a start date on the supervisor. And then, like I said, if it's internal, external, it depends on the other position then. And if the council decides not to budget for that, then we won't have that in the budget then too.
And this person will, you have on here that he's exempt from on-call?
Exempt, which means it's salaried, means it's not, exempt refers to whether you're eligible for overtime or not. But it would be a working supervisor position that would be in the schedule for the on-call.
For the rotation?
Would be in the rotation for on-call.
Okay.
Yep.
I think basically, Mike, the reason there's 2 of them there is because if it would happen that we hire internally, we don't gain anything, we're still gonna be. So this way we got applications covering both of them that we could fall back on if it's budgeted for after the first of the year.
Right. What you're saying then is basically is, might not use one,
Right,
but we use the other for sure.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I guess if we end up with the supervisory position, it does state that he doesn't have to have it, but water and,
Right, so the water and the wastewater
but you have
certifications,
to get it,
if they could get it, it would be helpful.
right, or if they had it, it would be helpful.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you wanna have a supervisor that don't have the license that the people, and then they say, well, you gotta do this, and he says, no, you don't have to, and be a controversy of,
Yep. Yeah, and the licensing is more important on the DNR side
okay,
for who they'll accept reports and information from.
okay.
But a T, which is a in-training license, you can get by taking a class and then passing an exam. So it's fairly simple. It says in there, I think, the ability to obtain certification within a year. You can get the lowest level certification fairly easily. And then moving up to get to the adequate level to run our water and to run our wastewater, there's a experience component. So somebody that maybe doesn't have years of service probably wouldn't be completely certified to run our water and wastewater right now.
Okay, you got it.
There's a motion, we need a second.
And a second?
You need
We
a
need
second?
one.
You don't have a second yet.
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to approve the posting of the employment positions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Police and fire, Mike?
Nothing at this time. We've had 2 meetings and most of it's just been information.
Just as a off that I learned today, when you attend one of them meetings, you have to turn in the agenda with your signature and whoever was with you on the two.
Yeah, I just found that out.
Yeah,
I've
okay.
been asking.
We'll
Should have told you that from the get-go, I guess I just slipped.
we'll talk about that at finance too. Is I think
Yeah.
what we'll probably do is on the meetings that you get paid for,
Yeah, that's.
put a listing of the meetings on who's getting paid for attendance. We'll have that with the payroll at finance.
But that's one that was always getting paid for, just that you had to do it yourself, turn yourself your own papers in. Because technically Becky doesn't know when those meetings are or when they're, who attends them, so.
We'll check in on that too.
All right, public health and ordinance. Shaney,
Do I word this differently or just read it as is?
Well, you can do 2 things. One is you can read what the recommendation was from the committee. And then if you want to make a motion that's any different, then you can make a motion if you'd like. Does that make sense?
Sort of.
You can read out, the committee recommended this,
All right.
and then if
So-
you want to change it, if you want to make a motion that's any different than that, you can do that.
Okay, so the committee recommended modifying the ordinance to reflect new definition, identifying primary front yard on corner lots to allow accessory buildings to be located within secondary front yard, and to consider reducing front setback from 25 feet in a secondary front yard on corner lots. So basically, what we were looking at is we have a couple properties in town that are corner lots. And we thought, since it's gonna be going to planning commission to review, that they could decide on where the setback would actually be from 15 or 20 feet, whatever worked for them.
So right now, you're just asking for a consideration to reduce the setback, period,
Right.
correct? The way the
Right.
English is on that?
That's what, so there was 3 recommendations. One is Attorney Kelly had offered up a couple of examples on how you can determine what is somebody's primary front yard. Because right now, our ordinances just refer to a primary front yard and a secondary front yard. And so the question at committee was, what is that, what is your front yard on a corner lot? Is it your front door, is it your address, or is it where your garage faces? The language that he came up with is in the minutes, and it mentions if you're on a corner lot, and if you have an interior lot next door to you, so a neighbor, you take a look at your most immediately neighboring interior lot. So like if you're on a corner, you can point one way or north or east. If your neighbor points north, your front then is to the north. And then your secondary side yard would then be not your front yard, but still along a street. So one of the recommendations, there's three that are in that recommendation that came out of committee. One is accept a new definition or create a definition for what is your front yard in a corner lot. Then the next one was, right now you cannot build an accessory building into your front yard. But if you're going to identify your primary front yard and then your secondary front yard, so it's a side yard in essence, the change would be to allow an accessory building to be built into your secondary front yard. And the reason why that's important is because the third recommendation then is to reduce that setback on the secondary side yard. So right now, all accessory buildings and all homes need to be built 25 feet away from the property line if they're on a front yard and if they're on a street yard. And so the thought is, let's define which one is the front yard so that you're not leaving it up to each individual home to say, here's my front yard or here's not. So there's an actual definition. Second one then is to allow people to build into a reduced setback. And then the third one, the committee didn't come up with an amount for a setback, but they talked about for a reduced setback, either reducing it to 20 feet or 15 feet. And I believe, didn't really have an agreement on it other than to say, let's recommend that it gets reduced for that side yard. Now the reason why it's here tonight is because any change to the zoning code needs to go to the plan commission. And because when the plan commission takes up these recommendations, they have to put out a special notice, publish the fact that they're gonna have a hearing on this. And in order to kickstart that hearing process, the city council has to make a recommendation to the plan commission to review something. So the ordinance committee made those recommendations, they send them to you. You get to review the recommendations, and if you'd like the plan commission to look into these, you wouldn't approve the recommendations tonight, you would approve recommending them to the plan commission. Then they go to the plan commission, which right now looks to be September 1st. And then the plan commission, if they want to change the code, recommends changes back to you at your September meeting. Does that make sense? So where you're at right now is that three-prong recommendation. Now, I'm assuming that when the plan commission takes this up, they're gonna have to make a recommendation on what that setback is, if it's 15 feet or 20 feet. Right now, you don't have a number on that,
They also
but-
have to define accessory buildings.
It's defined in the code right now,
Whether or not
it's
that's a
any
shed
building,
or garage,
and it could be both.
playhouse.
Yeah, it could be both. It's
It's
anything
any-
that's not
yeah.
your house,
It's any building, don't,
yeah.
as long as
Will
it's,
there be restrictions on the size?
we already have that.
You do have that.
That's in the, but we,
It's all included.
this is just a carry-on of, I don't know, we might know 6, 8 years ago, we went through the garage, or outbuildings, I say garage, but that could be any building, because the same as what this here says, it didn't make sense. Basically,
Okay.
back then, what it said is 100 square foot, well, it didn't make no difference, somebody had 2, 3 lots, and they could only build a 100 square foot building. So we ended up changing them, it went by the size of the building, say garage, went by the size of your lot, 60-foot lot, 90-foot lot, 120-foot lot,
Okay,
a bigger building, so that's already defined in there.
you've covered that already then.
Yeah, that's all taken care of. That's why I was pushing to get this on here, because we have several people in town that live on a corner lot, would like to put a garage in, and with 25 feet, there's just no room. So it makes their, totally can't put a garage up. And we got 3 places for sure. If that got
5.
reduced to 15 feet, all 3 of them could build a new garage. We got one right now can't build, well, actually, we got 2 of them that technically can't have no garage at all, and can't build one. And we have one that's an older building, they wanna take it down and build a new one, and they can't do it. So, we have a house over on, by the cemetery, it's a ranch-style house. He'd like to build a garage onto the house, make it a ranch-style house with a garage on it, the way the house is built on a corner lot, if he has to stay 25 feet off that side street, basically, he can't build a garage. We've got the guy where his garage just burnt down, and now 15 feet. His garage is there within 15 feet, he's legal there. But if we make it 25 feet, he can't replace that garage.
Why weren't the ordinances referenced in this motion that need to be modified?
You basically have to create a new section of the ordinances, because right now, the other thing that was at the committee is that if you're looking to build on a corner lot, we don't have a section that says zoning regulations for corner lots. It's like tucked into.
Well, this is blazing a new trail here in that
Well,
consideration for corner lots then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it eliminates
Okay.
about 8 different pieces that you have to pull up.
Yeah.
The one, I got 2 things real quick. One is, so Kelly's recommendation then would be on a front lot line then. He wants to modify the definition of a front lot line, and it would be the street frontage shall be the front lot line. So any yard that's on your street. But then he also wants to clarify that on a corner lot, the front lot line shall be along the same street as the front lot line of the immediately adjacent interior lot. So that's what your neighbor looks like. Or if you're adjacent to 2 or more interior lots, what he's looking at then is you pick the street frontage with the smallest dimension. So the thought is, if you're on a corner, one of the streets is going to be shorter than the other, and he's saying your front then is the smallest dimension. So if you've got 60 feet of frontage on one street and 100 on another, the 60 then would be your front.
Okay.
The other thing to point out is the reason why you're considering an ordinance change is because for the locations that want to build a garage, technically by the ordinance, they're able to build a garage, but in some cases, like on South Street, like he mentions, they want to build an attached garage. He'd have to build it into his backyard in the back corner to meet the setback amounts. You could go for a variance, but by the legal definition or the legal requirements for variance, 5 or 6 of these wouldn't meet the legal definition. And so what you're looking at is just changing the ordinance. So in this case, if somebody wants to build a garage up to 15 feet away from the property line or up to 20 feet away, if that's what it gets set at, that's what they can build it to. But right now, they have to build it within or outside of 25 feet away from the property line. So that's one of the other aspects of cleaning up corner lot language. The other piece is to make it easier for people to build accessory buildings, sheds, garages
Okay.
on a corner lot.
Well, thank you for that clarity on that.
Okay, a couple questions. Have we considered, sure that helps those that want to build? That's great, I'm all for that. How about those that, are any addresses going to have to be changed for people that have no desire to build that are on corner lots? Because all of a sudden now, the shortest is your front. Are we gonna go through a town and say, geez, you live on a different street now?
No, oh no.
No, because your house still faces
I understand.
your neighbor. It can't change.
So the front lot line, when you designate what is your front, that's only going to be relevant for our zoning code
Right,
setbacks.
just for setbacks, not for addresses.
It's not gonna have any other,
I didn't think
everybody's
so,
address
but I
will stay
wanted
the
to
same.
clarify that.
Good question.
and then like I said, the committee then just decided that they would like to look at a reduced setback on the side yard. They didn't pick what that amount would be though. So it's up to you guys if you wanna select a setback amount to send it to Plan Commission or leave it as is. Either way is acceptable.
I'd like to see the lesser of the two mentioned.
I'd like to see the plan commission come up with their setback based on their recommendation.
But we do have the right, if we feel like we have a recommendation, and I feel like I have a recommendation for 15 feet setback.
Make
So,
the
I
motion.
mean, whether I need to make a motion and second and vote it, I don't know how that.
I guess I'd like to have a motion, just like what you say, and if the planning commission don't like it, they can change it, because,
Gives them something to start at,
Yeah,
consider, they'll
exactly.
probably get the same information, but, if we don't all agree on that, that's fine, you know, then we don't have to put the footage in.
you wanna make that a motion?
Put it in, give them a start point. Let them see if it'll fly.
What?
Do it.
Okay, so this is a motion to recommend there's a lot of in here now.
Yeah,
We
it's kinda
talked
long, but,
about-
What these? Instead, they're stronger.
Yeah, that would help. Scott, you're always better with words, come on, do it.
You can just read what's
Just
there,
read it.
Bruce, and then just put.
Okay, recommend modifying
You're
ordinances
good.
to reflect new definition identifying primary front yard on corner lots to allow accessory buildings to be located within secondary front yard and to consider reducing the front setback from 25 feet in the secondary front yard on corner lots to recommended by council to 15 feet. Does that sound okay?
I got a
And
sec-
do I have to incorporate that line too?
no.
Okay. So, that's my motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded to what he said. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you.
There you go. And again, that'll be September 1st is when the plan commission meets
You
on.
got all that, Becky?
We got it on video, so we're good.
It's on video, yeah. Yeah. Okay, you got number 2.
Yep. Our second item on our list tonight is to recommend approval of ordinance modifying language on the city official ordinances. And that was basically, we had, Patrick will have to help me, so in case I
Yeah.
forget.
Yeah.
We had a list of everybody under there, and the public works supervisor was underneath, the public officials, so it was just taking them off and leaving the ones that we had, and then modifying so that it was not.
Yeah, so the reason we brought it up was on the public works supervisor, knowing that we're looking at advertising. And in our ordinance, you had them listed as an official officer of the city when it's more along the lines of a working supervisor. It's not an official, like an administrator, an attorney, the chief of police. So what we looked at was taking that out of the ordinance completely. And then from there, Attorney Kelly looked at how are these officials appointed? And what you had was, for most of them, you needed a 4-member majority out of 7 to approve. And when you think about 7 means that the mayor has a vote on the appointment of these officials, but in reality, the mayor has a vote when there's a 3-3 tie. And so Attorney Kelly had said you shouldn't have that language in there. What he changed then was for the how appointed for the attorney, the administrator, chief of police, and the building inspector, all it says is affirmative vote of the council. So the language used to be 4 out of the 7.
Now it's an affirmative.
Right, affirmative of the
Majority
council, which
rule.
is still 4, but it's 4 out of the 6, and if there's a 3-3 tie, then the mayor would have a tie-breaking vote, so it still leaves that. And then, the other thing that he had pulled up then too was for terms, and the terms for the attorney, the administrator, our appointments are indefinite at the pleasure of the council. And then the chief of police, there was a small modification because the chief of police had been listed as indefinite at the pleasure of the council, but in reality, state law lays out how long, what the term would be, and it's in chapter 62:13. So that's the change, and you have a copy of the ordinance. It's about a page and a half long in your packet there. Basically, what it's doing is it's cleaning up who is an official, how are they appointed, and what is their term.
Okay.
So wait, that public works supervisor then, what you're saying is, he's being paid salary,
Yes.
and he's going to be attending, according to what I read in there, he would have to attend meetings.
May be required to attend meetings.
Okay, so that's not like what we had then in the past.
Well,
because
in the,
That one was a supervisor, and he reported to the committee
The-
on how everything went.
the problem you have is, in the job description, you have that person reports to the administrator. In the ordinances, you have that person reporting directly to the city council. You had both, and you can't have both. You have to have one or the other. But the legal definition, so there's differences between employees and actual officers of the city. And typically it's through state law that identifies who's an officer. This position is similar to the sergeant in the police department. It's like a middle level managerial supervisory, I should say supervisory position that reports to the next person up that's an appointed official of the city. The salary or hourly is only based on, there's federal laws on whether you're exempt or not exempt from overtime. And in this position, according to those regulations, federal law, they would be exempt in salary then.
Okay, can I get a motion for that?
Wasn't there a motion made? No?
I'm not sure, I think it was read off as a
It was just
recommendation, I'm
read.
not sure if it was approved or not.
All right.
I think you just read it,
I just read it.
yeah.
Make a motion to approve the ordinance modifying language on city official ordinance.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any more questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Motion carried.
So just a quick, and I know we talked about it, but in section 2 on this ordinance modification, it says, it refers to what are officers and what are employees. So the supervisory position in Public Works falls under the employee category. I believe in the ordinance you had it under both before. So,
Yep.
sorry about that. That's-
That's bad.
Okay.
All right, E, Rec Committee. Appleby.
Well, we have no action for council tonight, but I do have one thing to say. On Sunday, August 23rd, from noon to 3, we're having doggy dip at the city park. You need to have your rabies for your dogs with you and license, and it's $5. And then we're doing family kickball at 1 p.m. at the city baseball lake park. So come out and have some fun for the afternoon.
Very good, thank you. Public Property Purchasing. Scott,
Have no action for council at this time.
thank you. Planning Commission, no action. New business. We have some operator's license to approve. Can we do them all in one shot?
You have it listed on there?
You can.
Yeah,
Yes, you can.
okay. Operator license for Ashley Dome, Sherry LaRue, Gerard Knaus, and Deanna Bowles. Operator's license. A motion to approve them?
Oh, for JKs, right?
No,
Wilson, 2 for Wilson's, 2 for JK's.
Brick House
That's right,
said
that's right.
JK's.
I'll make a motion to approve the operator's license for Ashley Dome and Sherry LaRue for Wilson's Brick House and Gerard Knaus and Deanna Vols for JK's.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
You second it.
I made a motion to.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
Now you can call it.
Going too fast here. Sorry. Approved parade permit for the high school for homecoming parade September 25th.
I'll make a motion to approve the parade permit for the Weyauwega Fremont High School Homecoming Parade for September 25th, 2015.
I'll second that also.
They have in the past, city council has in the past waived the fee for all school parade permits, so
Parade
By-
permit.
it's
By
up
all
to-
means, let's throw that in there as a
Yeah.
consideration as well, please.
Do you want me to redo that then?
If you can.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the parade permit waiving the fee for the high school homecoming parade for 2015. September 25th, 2015, sorry.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve parade permit for the high school for homecoming parade. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Mayor's report. Seeing as how I got county board tomorrow morning, one day too early always. But I do have a little bit comment here. I would like you people to do some research on it for me. The county is proposing a $25 wheel tax. And the reasoning behind it is both federal and state revenue sharing was cut off this year. So the highway department has no money to fix roads. And they feel they can cure that with a $25 wheel tax. And I myself questioned it on the dollar amount, how much would it end up being, and they gave examples of it and what it would be used for. And we were told it's strictly road. I said, well, you're gonna buy new bulldozers or tractors or something, or overtime and all that? They said, no, absolutely. Money is strictly for materials to fix roads. Which is all right. But then the next question I had was, is this a temporary or is this a permanent? Some of you know when they built a new jail, they put a 0.5% sales tax on and used the money to build the jail. And they built a nice jail and courthouse. The 0.5% is still there. My question is, I might be in favor of the 25, but how long is that $25 going to last? If there's no time period on it or no answer to that, then afraid I'd be against it. But I understand the highways department situation. Basically, they're broke, and they need the money. They have the money for the normal things, you know, the snow plowing, blah, 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 and all the road work, but the repairing the roads that are in trouble right now, there's nothing available. Anyhow, what I'm asking is you people talk to your people, and this ain't gonna be a vote in the next month or two, down the line somewhere, probably not till after first year, but I'd like to have a little input from
County roads, just county roads.
just county roads,
County
right?
highways.
But it'll
Yeah.
be county-wide. It'll be
Yeah.
every citizen
Yeah,
that
it's everybody.
drives, that has a license in the state, in the county of Weyauwega County.
That's
Yeah.
put on,
Who
how is that?
registers their vehicle will pay an
Reg-
additional $25.
Yep.
And you already pay what for your truck? 75?
Yeah, it'll be
I
100.
pay- There's $100 right there to register your vehicle, and the state does support it. City of Appleton's doing it right now.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them doing it.
Yeah.
It's not something new. There's
Yeah.
several cities and counties already doing it, but it operates, you know, you send your money to Madison for your license, the state will keep $1 out of the 25, and the county will get 24 back, so, for every license that's in our county, so. Just looking for an opinion. Another thing I got that kinda hits me once in a while is, and I know Patrick talked about it here a while ago, and I kinda was against what he was proposing, but, we've got some places in town that are looking pretty shabby. And somehow, some way, politely, we gotta boost some people up and say, hey, clean up or get out or something. I mean, you gotta have a polite way of doing it, but we all know that there's a few of them. I got one right next door to my house. I don't really honestly even know who owns the place, but it's an old shamble down house, been standing there empty for, nobody seems to know. Trees growing out of the windows and everything, and they come cut the grass, and that's as far as it goes. And somewhere, somehow down the road, we should come up with some manner of, I don't like the word policeman or whatever, because I know that's what we talked about, that Weyauwega was gonna hire a full-time guy and hopefully share it with us, that we would use them to go around and bang on doors and tell people to clean up, but I'm a little bit against that, or a lot against that, because I don't believe we should have somebody else doing that for us. I think we clean up our own act. But
Can we get some documentation from, say, the building inspector to draft a recommendation that can go to Patrick. Patrick can enforce the
I'm sure we got an ordinance that covers it,
condemnation
just gotta be enforced.
There's plenty of ordinances that cover it.
that
Yeah.
could cover it. It's just, we don't.
Well, we've got every ordinance that covers anything.
Right.
We talked about code officer for a long time, a
That's
couple
what it
years ago,
is.
so that's really, I think, what we needed. Didn't we budget it once but didn't use it?
I don't think we need to go into
No.
the code officer
Yeah,
position.
that, I would be against
Basically,
that.
because you already have an inspector. So if you have a home that doesn't qualify and he puts a red tag on it, something has to be done with it.
Exactly.
We have,
Yeah, we're only talking about that extreme
That portion
level
of it,
we're
we have
talking
him.
about. We're not talking about
when you
someone
talk
that's-
about old cars sitting in the yard and the license plates are expired, that's where the police officer needs to go up there and he can register, he's the one that has the computer in the squad, he can say if that car is registered or not. That car's not registered, slap a red ticket on it, go to the door, tell them it needs to be out 30 days or do something with it.
But those are only two things of many that, and that's why the code enforcer was thought of, which is, we have codes, but we don't enforce them. So how do you enforce them and how, and then it's the finger pointing thing like we talked about, but
I guess that's what I'm asking.
it's not like it's a negative person, it can be a,
They could be sent an official letter from the city
Right.
that states what the violation is and what needs to be done in a given amount of time. And if it is not done at that time, then it will be
but we also
brought
know
to
we don't have
another
that,
level.
the police didn't want the image of police in everybody's yard, we didn't want that image.
No. No.
But you don't have, no one in the structure here has the time to go around, because then you've gotta cover everything, because people are gonna compare, well, look at him. And
Yeah,
I
I-
do believe if anything, sometime we do need to get an enforcer that, it doesn't have to be a negative thing, even though it sounds like it, someone that can bring people accountable, that has the time, the 20 hours a week or whatever we said, and start observing and informing and educating and bringing it along slowly. We talked about this a lot.
So what in particular are you talking about? in
Well,
your
you've
yard?
got all kinds of stuff, like people that leave tires and garbage cans sitting in chairs week after month. I'm thinking of one, finally the one recliner went away, but there's still a pile of stuff like that. The police aren't gonna do that, the administrator's not gonna do that. Who's gonna do that? I've thought of stopping by some of the people, might say, I'm your alderman, clean up. Well, and then it's my bias too, because now I gotta go look at everybody's property.
No,
Only who's in your ward.
if it's in your ward and you wanna stop there and tell them that, in case you don't know it, but our garbage doesn't pick that up, but if you contact them, they will pick it up, and you have to make arrangements. A lot of them don't
If
know
it was only
that.
one thing like that, but there's so many varied, look at our ordinances.
I
We
mean,
had,
I have them in my ordinance that didn't know that you could blow grass out in the street. And I told them, no, you can't blow the grass into
Right.
the street. I didn't know that, sorry. They mow the grass the other way now.
Weren't you, Mr. Mayor?
but
weren't
who
you
is
talking
gonna
about-
fill that shoe day after day when, like I say, there's some people that just moved into town at White House up on the S curve going up Pine, and yeah, there's a pile of grass out there. I'm gonna call, well, you better go over there, it's your ward.
They got it cut already.
Uh-huh.
You're talking about that one corner by the electric pole?
Well, anyway, there's a pile of grass in the street, and then, it's gonna go downhill quite fast. I mean, who's gonna do that day after day when we're busy? Someone that, just like who's gonna do administrator's job? I believe in it, and we've had people come in and even tell us about it, didn't we? From Green Bay area or something, or discuss. But this is a whole nother thing that is not on the agenda, so I'm gonna let it go.
Right, so under the mayor's
No, no.
report, you're talking about having to take a look at it somehow, and we can do
The
that.
mayor's referring to some buildings, I believe, if I heard him correctly, that are in disrepair that need to be addressed. So maybe we need to focus that conversation on the buildings right now.
Yeah.
And I understand where he's coming from. There are some that should be condemned, in my mind. But we need the backup from an official report from a city building inspector to get the ball rolling on that. Once that paperwork has been submitted to the city, I think the city has a due responsibility to contact them and give them terms on what improvements need to be made to bring that back into code.
You know, just as a example that doesn't pertain to this right here, but I got a call today, the evening this for, the guy who was concerned with the county. And it's a similar thing. He's in violation with a building. And it's gotta be moved or tore down.
Well, if you should go to committee.
Yeah,
You can't discuss
but-
anything right now.
But he was told by the county that he had 60 days to do something, or he was gonna fine $750 a day. Now, that's radical, I guess you'd say it, but anyway, that's what I'm thinking is, we gotta get something started. I'm against hiring a code officer, but we gotta start somewhere. And I guess I'm willing to work on it with Patrick and anybody else, and, like Becky says, it's gotta go to a committee and
Yeah.
we'll work at it.
I think in the past, if I remember right, it was the police would turn it in to the city administrator, and then he would send whoever
A letter,
that
yeah.
taxpayer was for that property, he
Yeah.
would send them a letter and tell them that this needs to be cleaned up,
Yeah,
and this is where it goes.
that's good. I just wanna bring it up, so we'll work on it. I don't know, other than that, I don't have anything else. Administrator.
Yep, so to follow up on that, there's quite a few recommendations that we have. The long and short of it is, you have ordinances. And if you feel like there are penalties or requirements that are maybe overly burdensome or whatever you wanna call it, it starts with taking a look at your ordinances and figuring out if that's what you wanna have on the community. And then you have to follow that up then with actually enforcing it, and enforcing it for everybody then. Because if you don't enforce it the same for everybody, you might as well not enforce it for anyone, period. So I won't go too far on that, but there are a lot of opportunities we have. The one quick statement I'll make that is that if you do not identify either someone that is seasonal or part-time or look to hire somebody new, we do have to fit it in to our existing staffing. So somebody has to do it. If you don't hire somebody, it still has to fall on somebody else within the city, and we can have that as part of the discussion too. Other than that, we did have our first meeting today with the new financial software with Workhorse. They did just get the software installed on Friday. They came through for a real quick rundown today, and again, the goal on that is to be up and running with the new software for January 1st of next year. Now, as soon as we can get it up and running, we'll start running it. But the goal is, this year is going to be, some of the years are going to be in fund balance, the other part will be in Workhorse. Next year will be completely in Workhorse. Shaney had talked a little bit about the doggy dip for this Sunday. That's going to be the day after the swim lake closes, and we do have a set of rules. Basically, it's to make sure that dogs are immunized properly, that they're old enough, which follows the immunization rules, and then also that people don't just show up and leave their dogs and take off, but they still have to have control of their dogs.
Here, watch my dog.
It's it's something that where I'm from, Ashwaubenon, they have it the day after they close their swim lake, and they've had up to 350, 400 dogs show up there. Now their facility is 3 times bigger too, but we're hoping that this year we can get some dogs, and for sure you'll have mine there, so it won't be the worst thing. But the swim lake staff is going to work that day, and then from noon to 3 we'll have the dogs. And then 3 o'clock and after, they're going to work on closing up the facility for the year, so it should work out pretty good. And then also at 1 o'clock, you have the kickball event over at the baseball diamond. Other than that, we're still pulling together for the budget, and we're still on track for the end of September, early October to be talking to you guys at committee about the budget. So things are going pretty good.
Okay, I don't see our police chief, so apparently no police report. Such matters authorized by law, I don't know of any. Anybody else got something? Set meetings calendar for September.
Just real quick to throw in there, Attorney Kelney is looking to see if we could schedule a meeting for early next week to follow up on the railroad topic. And if it's Monday or Tuesday, hopefully Monday, you will have the 2 other members of the council present or back in town. So if you're, before we kick into September, it would be nice to have a full council discussion at Attorney Kelly's request for like next Monday night.
I will not make it for Monday night.
Is there another night next week at all that's better? Otherwise, we could check with you too in the next day or two. We could check with them. Okay,
I'm not sure.
okay, well, we'll check on that,
When will Mr. Najalski be back?
this week, the end of this week,
End of this week.
yep.
Well, he's gonna be jumping into work on Monday with some issues too. Why don't you look at early to middle of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that, as, for that meeting.
Okay,
Then Mike look at his schedule too, and
we can do that.
end of the month can get kinda hairy for everybody, so.
Okay, and then just for September, that first Monday again is Labor Day. Typically what we've done in years past is we've just backed everything up a week. So rather than the first, second, third Monday, we'd go on the second, third, and fourth. This year though, the Public Works and the Finance Committees there's 2 members on each that are the same. Scott and Keith are on both committee, and so what each committee had mentioned was maybe they would just meet together on September 14th.
Combine
And then
it.
that would keep the city council meeting on the third Monday
Do it.
as normal then. So that's just a quick note, and then
Fine
Becky
for
wants to
me.
run down the schedule then for September.
Plan Commission is gonna be on September 1st. Joint Public Works and Finance, as Pat said, will be on the 14th at 6. And then right now, the only other meeting I have is council on the 21st. So, rec, I'm assuming needs to schedule, police needs to schedule.
I don't know of any that we gotta have. Is that good with everybody?
Well, rec normally meets after the pool is closed to review pool.
And that'll
If
be
you want
closed.
to wait until October, that's up to you, but
Oh, we'll have that one closed in a week. I know,
But are they gonna have all their information gathered by, it's usually isn't it the second Tuesday?
yeah,
has been.
we could, the only thing we'll have is just bills that are still hanging out yet to pay. That'll hang over from, typically it takes so long for them to bill us, so long for us to pay a check, and then to get the report to you guys. So I mean, we might not have the full final accounting until October on the swim lake. But I know, Nick, as the chair, was talking about a community block party event that I think he wants to talk about. He talked about maybe holding it on Labor Day weekend, but I believe he's also talking about maybe delaying that. And so I think in September, he wanted to have a meeting. The other one that I think we'll probably need a meeting on is the public property meeting.
Rec and police have been back to back the last couple of months. Sometimes they were the second Tuesday, sometimes they were the first Tuesday.
But I don't wanna do the first Tuesday being right after,
Well, the first,
so I would do the 8th.
yeah, that'd be planned, so.
Right, so I'd do the 8th for
The
the
8th?
police, yeah. And that would be first, and then rec would be, or no,
Rec first.
You can always
Rec.
plan it that way,
yeah.
and then if
Rec-
Nick
Rec-
needs to
rec-
change
Rec
it,
first and then
Right.
police after.
we can always change it if Nick needs to change it to a different date too.
Okay.
No, he told me he'd just as soon have the rec same time as police.
Yeah,
He asked me if we both could do that.
yeah.
So that's September 8th, right? Is
Yep.
that what you said? Okay.
Yes.
And then the rec first because of the citizen
Because the
members. so that's-
citizen members.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
Public property, I think you usually tack that on with finance. I mean, you could probably
Yeah,
put it on
yeah.
with that 14th if you'd want to.
Do they need a
That's
public
fine.
property?
We will,
Okay,
yeah,
Schedule
Okay.
one.
yeah. I would put that before the
Four.
finance and public works, yeah,
So do you want to do it at 5:30?
sure.
Okay.
What's that?
Pizza?
Pete.
Maybe.
Starting
All
to sound
right,
like
that
me.
it?
I used to ask for that every meeting we were in.
That was really nice.
Coordinates?
Wait, I need to finish up doing my homework on it. I need a little more time.
Yep, no problem. It's up to you, so it's no problem.
All right, make a motion, somebody make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
7:31.